So as we're here filming these videos, I get a message from one of my private clients who was just here with me in Toronto last week for his 2-day intensive. It was deeply, deeply profound. It is going to change the course of his life and his business forever. But it's not a one and done. And that's what I want to impart in this video, is the work that I do with people around emotional intelligence, emotional awareness, and their identity is deeply intimate and deeply powerful. And it provides you with the capacity over time to enter a whole new dimension for yourself and your life, your mission, your family, and your business. But one of the things my work doesn't do is provide quick fixes. The work I do is real work. So what I'm about to do is I'm about to share with you a voice note from my client Sergio as he walks out of his 2-day intensive with me last week here in Toronto. So let's go.
David, what's up, man? And I'm shooting content today, so maybe you can make this one of your content pieces. Dude, this week's been very, very interesting. So all the sales calls this week have been not fruitful, should I say. A lot of the guys getting on here, either they don't have the money or, right, and I know you said money's never the objection, or they're just in a place where like their lives are just complete disasters. And I'm sitting here taking a step back and just looking at everything in observation, right? Definitely a lot of work I've had to do, a lot of breathing, a lot of healing.
Okay, so I want to address that first. So what Sergio is experiencing coming out of his 2-day intensive with me is his business is still on the old runway of the old paradigm of how he was operating and running the business. This would inform his messaging, who he's calling in his clients, the objections he gets, the challenges he's having in his business. This is not an immediate quick fix, because ultimately what we're doing here in my work is we are putting an end to the old runway. That is done. We are no longer inside of that operating system. And inside of the 2-day intensive with me, we are creating a whole new operating system. And that is going to take a little bit of time for you to get used to running the plane on this new runway before everything goes parabolic, okay? So what Sergio is experiencing right now is completely normal because he has been running his business on the old runway, all right? Let's continue.
A lot of it was activated just in all of that, constantly just putting some, not putting any, closes and enrollments on the board, which has been challenging. I've recognized that the ads, obviously we talked about that piece, but there's also this other piece of just like, well, what else is going on here? And I'm trying to be an observation of it and trying to figure it out. Kurt's experiencing it and I'm experiencing it. And so, I did a stack this morning, and one of the things that just kind of came up was just, I can't even believe it was just last week I was in Toronto. And the thing that came to life and was brought to life into the surface of me and just this observation and this new way of playing. And I don't think...
Now, what Sergio just said there was around what he discovered inside of his core belief, his identity, who he actually is, what he's actually up to, what his mission really is in the industry that he serves. But when you come out of a profound experience like my 2-day intensive, then you drop back into life. You drop back into your old paradigm, the old paradigm of your business. That is going to require emotional discipline, communication with me, grace, patience, and compassion. Around here, we don't do quick fixes. We make lasting change that makes a huge difference for you and the people that you serve. So finally, let's continue.
Been able to really truly create anything from that space yet, right? That has been out in the marketplace long enough to start to kind of change the dynamics of everything. But what I'm just seeing right now is what I'm thinking this is just like old fruit that's coming to the surface from these old ads and everything else, that these guys are coming in and they're that way. And it's I'm just asking myself, like, what did I create that's attracting these guys? And so, yeah, man, this week, I'll update the sales sheet so you can see it, but a bunch of show up rates, which is great. A bunch of guys showing up, a couple cancellations. I would say probably an 80% show up rate, which is massive. But just nothing came to fruition for me. Kurt got one, which is great, but the rest have just been kind of trash. And so I don't even know what I'm trying to get from you, but I think maybe it's just like context or a grounding point to where like maybe you can help me make sense of it.
Okay, the final point on that is why Sergio highlighted his show up rate is because on the first call that we ever had together before he even became a client of mine was that his show up rate from paid ads was 10%. Then within 3 days, we moved it to 45% without changing his marketing, any of that stuff. It was all the internal shift. And then this week, things aren't going great, but the thing we are going to celebrate is he had an 80% show up rate from paid ads. That is phenomenal. So why I wanted to share this with you is truly to set your expectations. That by now in this video, I am not a quick fix guy, and certainly if you've been following me for a while, that's not the domain that I operate in. But when people come in to work with me here in Toronto for their intensives, they discover a whole new paradigm within themselves to create a new identity, create a new future, and to fulfill the mission that fueled them to become an elite coach and leader in the first place.